Meet Tiltocaptal owlpilosus, known commonly as the curly-hair tarantula. This is an absolute favorite of mine. While they're not the most vivid tarantulas, as you can see, they're kind of a dull coppery color. That fluffy look that they have and just their chill personalities just makes up for it 100%. I'm going to go ahead and put this girl back into her home because she's getting a little bit agitated, it seems. Let's see, I can give you guys a better look at her. Very slow moving tarantula as well, like most New World terrestrials, but they are capable of making quick bursts of speed should they feel threatened. So it's always good to err on the side of caution. Go ahead and put the lid back on here. So before we go ahead and dive in, I do have one quick little survey for you guys. So sometimes I do videos that are more shot sort of on the fly, just on the spot, more like informal, where I will just film my spiders and then talk over the footage. And then I have my more narration style, kind of more polished videos that I do. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have a preference, if you would like to see me do one type more, or if you would like me to do kind of a mix-up of both styles. I'm really curious to know. I love hearing your guys' feedback, what you have to say. After all, you guys out there watching are essentially what fuels my fire when it comes to producing these videos, so thank you for that. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Adored for its docile nature, modest size, and that permanent bad hairdo, it is easy to see why the curly hair is considered a hobby classic. The setae covering the legs are extra long with this species and have a very prominent curl on the ends of them, hence the name curly hair. Now there are two different variants of this particular tarantula found in the hobby. One is known as the hobby form, which hails from Nicaragua, and the other, less common form is the Honduran form, also sometimes referred to as the true form, since that when wild-caught specimens were first imported back in the day, this is typically the form that most tarantula keepers ended up with. Both variants are essentially identical in appearance, though I have heard the Honduran form gets slightly larger, but again, I'm just going by what other keepers have told me. There really is no scientific evidence that I've found to back this up, so take that statement with a grain of salt. Found throughout Nicaragua, Honduras, and even parts of Costa Rica, this tarantula makes its home in deep burrows within the lush rainforests of these countries. The species does well when kept with a good deal of humidity, although care must be taken to provide good ventilation and to not overly saturate the substrate. This is an opportunistic burrower and will dig deep tunnels when provided with enough substrate, but will also adapt to a more typical terrestrial lifestyle by simply taking shelter underneath fallen branches or other debris. I provide my curly hair with both lots of substrate and a piece of cork bark, slab, or log to hide under. Adults do fine in a 5-gallon terrarium or large critter keeper. Fill it about half to 2/3 of the way with substrate and your curly hair will be perfectly content. Personally, I like to use both a mixture of cocoa fiber and topsoil, as I find that just pure cocoa fiber on its own becomes very dry and fluffy once it dries out and does not do as good of a job maintaining the shape of the burrow. Juveniles do well in a medium critter keeper or Sterlite container, and slings do just fine in a 16 to 32 ounce deli cup. Just make sure that if you do use a plastic Tupperware container or deli cup, poke lots of holes in the top and preferably some on the sides as well in order to get that good cross ventilation. This tarantula reaches roughly 5.5 to 6 inches in leg span for females, with males being slightly smaller and much leggier once they mature. This is a very slow-growing species, so do keep that in mind if you intend on purchasing yours as a sling. Females can live for up to 20 years in captivity, with males living about half that. This tarantula is a voracious eater and will take on prey almost as large as itself. Spiderlings can be a little skittish when it comes to live prey, so if you find that yours still won't take even pinhead crickets or flightless fruit flies, try offering it a pre-killed large cricket or mealworm instead. My girl is about 4 inches in leg span, but currently eats around 2 or 3 large crickets or superworms each week. Just make sure that if you do decide to use mealworms or superworms as feeders, that the tarantula grabs it before it has a chance to burrow and escape. The mandibles on these guys can cause pretty serious damage to a tarantula in the event that the worm resurfaces while the spider is molten and unable to defend itself. As far as their temperament goes, this is probably about as chill as any tarantula species can get. They are New Worlds, and like many New World species do possess urticating hairs, which they can kick off when they feel threatened. However, they are very reluctant to do so, and will only kick hairs if they are harassed for a particularly long amount of time. Mine has only done this a few times and has never shown me a threat pose, and is one of the few tarantulas that I will handle every now and again. Make sure though that if you do decide to handle your curly hair tarantula, that you do so at a surface that is no more than a few inches from the ground. While this is for the most part an extremely slow moving tarantula, like any spider, they are capable of short bursts of speed should they feel threatened, and a fall to the ground could easily prove fatal to one. And here's my girl. She's not quite full grown. I'd say she's about 4.5 inches in leg span. And as I said earlier, this spider usually reaches around 6 inches for females. She is an absolute angel of a spider though. I can definitely say that much. So there you have it, folks. Another video on Titocatl albopilosus, or the curly-haired tarantula, one of the hobby essentials. Please, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, drop me a comment down below, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.